Hello and welcome to Now is the Time. I'm Meri Crouley, and boy, today is 10/18/18, and it's another day that God tends to show up and show off with these numbers. All I can tell you is, you guys, today I'm going to talk about what happened at the Freedom Ball. The Freedom Ball was just a few nights ago on Friday evening. It was October 12th, 2018. It was at the Viceroy L'Ermitage Hotel in Beverly Hills. And I have been literally working on this for over a year. And what I want to tell you guys today is that we're in a new season, and it's called favor. And for the last 7 years, many of you have gone through a lot of challenges. Let me see your hands if you have gone through challenges. Okay, well, let me tell you, the last 7 years, even though there has been good things that have happened, we are thanking God for the good things. But let me tell you, this last year, it was like going through a storm. And the Lord told me that I needed to do an event on that roof, the Viceroy L'Ermitage, because it was symbolic. We were going to be on the roof, overlooking the whole downtown LA skyline, overlooking the Hollywood sign and the Century City backdrop. And we were going to say to God, this was always my, the thing that he told me to do, was to say, "You're king of the world." And so let me tell you, it's also significant because it's been 50 years since Martin Luther King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. So we're dealing with some key dates and times and numbers. And so another significant fact is that 70 years in 1948 when Israel became a nation. And so that's the 70-year anniversary. So there's all these kingpins, there's these dates that are very significant. So I felt God tell me to go up to that rooftop and do a ball and to call it the Freedom Ball. Now, some of you don't know, but I have been working on a documentary and a series about sex trafficking for the last year called Freedom Cry. And, I could have clips on here with all this stuff. And let me tell you, what I went through in the last week or two, it was like I feel that I went through a war. I want to ask some of you watching, how many of you have been through a war? Well, let me tell you, I hear God saying it's time to roar. And I hear him saying that now he sets before you an open door, which no man or devil can shut. And so now the Lord said, this is the season, this is the time that everything is going to arise, everything is going to shine. And you're going to come into a new position, and that position is acquisition. So it was hard to get to before. Now he says, behold, this is the open door. This is the season of the open door. So I'm speaking to you across, the globe. I don't know who's watching around the world. And some of you Facebook Live. Let me tell you this. Some of you just went through a season that you survived. But now it's the time that you're going to thrive. And I'm hearing that song. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, that I would never live without you by my side. Well, you know what? Some of you were afraid, you were petrified, but you know what? God is standing by your side. And today, everything is going to be bright. And the greatest show on earth came about. So I'm going to talk about the Freedom Ball. I'm going to go back to that. I've got some footage on the rooftop of that hotel that night. I don't want to play it yet. But let me tell you what happened. We got there, skies were sunny, everything was blue. We got up in there and we did what we had to do. And all of a sudden, before we knew it, a storm came through it. And I'm telling you, we didn't know what blew through it because it was unbelievable. We had a step and repeat, which is a red carpet. At 5:30, we had, different celebrities. They weren't really big name celebrities, but who cares? The biggest celebrity there that night was Jesus. He is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So I don't care who came. The only one that we really wanted to honor that night was Jesus. And so we did have a red carpet with a backdrop. They call it a step and repeat because people step on, they get their picture, and then they repeat it again. So just to give you a little info of what they call this stuff in Hollywood. Like, big deal, who cares? But anyway, just in case you care. So this is the situation. There I am on the red carpet right up there. And that is one of the guys, he owns a watch store. And he donated a watch. And one of the guys on the left was also one of the sponsors. So anyway, you can put that down, Adam. That's the red carpet. We had a lot of people coming through the red carpet that night. But I am going to show you some footage of one of my friends took it on her iPhone. Let me tell you, we did the red carpet. Everybody came in. There was 150 people on this roof. Everybody was having a good time. We had a silent auction set up with some really incredible art and memorabilia. Well, all of a sudden, you know, we had the band playing in the background. Everything was really cool. And then we called everyone to come and sit down for dinner. And about 7:15, after about 15 minutes, all of a sudden my sound man, Kip Hyams, he felt a few raindrops. You know that song, raindrops keep falling on my head? Well, he felt them fall on his keyboard, which wasn't under the tent. We were on a rooftop, you have to understand this, on a tent. You know, on a rooftop with a tent over us. But not everything was under the tent. So Kip wasn't under the tent, and he had all of his expensive sound equipment under that, you know, not under the tent, but there. And so he started feeling some drops. He thought, okay, well, it will blow over. This is not supposed to be rain. And the next thing we knew, within about 10, 15 minutes, all of a sudden, lightning, thunder. There was 2 transformers that blew out. Lightning hit transformers on apartment buildings that were not far away. And so I want to show this footage on the rooftop. I want to show you this, Adam, this footage that we took on the rooftop to show you how this storm blew in within like seconds. Within seconds, this storm blew in. So Adam, put that footage up on the screen. Oh my God! That was a transformer that blew out. I think the video's sideways, but that's okay. But you can see, if you turn your head to the side, you literally can see that there's another. It was like another transformer just blew out. But there was lightning, and there was thunder, and there was rain, and it was like we had to shut half the show down. So you can take it off now, Adam. So we had to shut half the show down because it was a showdown. Let me tell you, it was a showdown between good and evil. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a legend in my own mind. I mean, some of you may be, but I'm not. All I can tell you, a year after putting this thing together, canceling the ball twice, and let me tell you, Alveda King was supposed to be there. That's Dr. Martin Luther King's niece. She was supposed to show up. Her mother became ill, and she had to cancel. So she did a video recording like a 5-minute welcome and saying she was sorry. And she said she's going to come back and reschedule. And so then I showed one of the trailers from my 2-minute documentary about the documentary I'm producing called Freedom Cry, because the whole purpose of being on the roof that night was to raise money for the 6-part series and documentary I'm doing called Freedom Cry. So there was 2 people on the roof that night. One of them was Opal Singleton, who wrote the book called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. She's literally trained over 250,000 people what to look for that with girls who are being trafficked. And you know, that night on the roof, she shared a story. It was incredible. She shared a story about a police officer who happened to be making a routine. He pulled over somebody. I forget what they did. They might have done like a wrong turn, who knows. And so he said, the officer told Opal afterward, he said, because I was trained, you know, in, you know, wherever they were when she did the speech or talk, sometimes at schools, sometimes at businesses, sometimes in government buildings, it's all over. But this officer was one of the guys that was there that night, and he heard her. And he gave her enough information of what to look for when girls are trafficked. There's a certain persona that they take on. All I can tell you is he spotted it. And he was able to do a background check on this guy, and he was a known pedophile, and he had a girl in his car that he had trafficked. And so let me tell you this. Opal said, that police officer said, thank you, because of your training, you know, I saved someone. And some people say, well, you know what, yours is just a documentary, it's a series. No, what this is going to do It's going to educate people of how girls are groomed. This is not about, we're not talking about you guys over in Thailand. We're not talking about in other parts of the world. This is right here in our backyard. Since 2016, sex trafficking has risen almost 36.7%. The district attorney of Orange County, who was actually invited to the Freedom Ball, and I had an award to give him called the Freedom Ball Award. He wasn't able to come, but listen, we are setting up a meeting at the DA's office, and we're going to present him with this award. And we're going to do a photo op, and it's going to get in the papers. We're branding this because Tony is running for re-election in Orange County. So you Orange County voters in Southern California, you need to vote for Tony Rackauckas because he was one of the first district attorneys that literally took the girls, instead of making them, like they were the people doing the crime, he basically showed that they were the victims. And so let me tell you, I had a gal that night on the roof. Her name's Ashley. And I've interviewed her. She's actually, Opal and Ashley are two of the people I've already done interviews for my Freedom Cry series and documentary. And Ashley was like the star of the show. Even though the winds came, the storm came, the lightning came, I'm telling you, it was like watching, Moses coming out of Egypt or something. People have said they have never seen anything like it. And do you know what God showed me? That the Lord came down from heaven himself and that he threw down a dark prince over Hollywood and Beverly Hills and said, no more. No more. I believe that we're going to see everything change. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, Trump put an executive order in. It was last year at the end of 2017 about sex trafficking. Do you know that he just did another tweet or something that he really highlighted trafficking again? He knows what's happening in the deep state. When people say the deep state, what it is there is a government within a government that is running things behind the scenes. And why it was such a big deal with Judge Kavanaugh is because military tribunals are literally, when the judges have become so corrupt, literally many of these people are going to have to be judged through military tribunals. And that was one of the questions they asked Judge Kavanaugh when he was going through his hearings and his confirmation hearings. So I'm telling you guys, the mainstream media and a lot of the globalists and elite people around the world, there's a huge contingent with trafficking that runs among them, even among the royal family. You can Google this, some of you, and this might seem crazy. Google Queen Elizabeth in Canada. When she went into a Indian reservation and met with them, and there was 10 to 12 kids that went with her and her husband on a picnic that never came back again. They literally filed an indictment against them, and let me tell you, they put her, literally she was supposed to go to court. I thought, no, this is nonsense, and I Googled it, and I found it. It's crazy. The royals, a lot of these elites, they do stuff with trafficking because they take these young kids, and I don't even want to know what they do with these kids. But let me tell you, it has to do with power. So the fact that I'm even bringing this out on the internet right now, it's like, I don't care. We've broken the power over Hollywood and Los Angeles of what, it's like the altars of Baal. And God is saying right now that we cannot fail. And Ashley, when she got up on that rooftop, because at 14 years old, she was trafficked out of Los Angeles. She's 32 years old now, but she will tell you, right in her parents' home. And she told how they did it. She was at a party where a tall, dark, and handsome, a little bit older boy came up to her. And he started telling her what she wanted to hear. Oh, you're so beautiful. Oh, you know what? You could be somebody. I'm your prince. I can give you all of this. He literally took her up on a hill. And this was after a month or two of being with him, whining, dining, the whole thing. And then he took her up on a hill. And she said to me, Meri, I thought this was my prince. She said, I believed in fairy tales. And she said, when he took me up on that hill, and he said, look at all of this. This is everything I'm going to give to you. Only a couple days later, when she said she had a headache, he gave her, she thought it was an Advil. It was a pill that literally was a date rape drug. And he literally forced himself on her and then said, now you're working for me. And he said, I know where your family lives, and I know everything about you. And if you don't go along with it, your family will die. You know what? As hard as it is to hear this stuff, guys, this is the kind of stuff that is rolling down the pipe. The average age of a victim is 12. And all I can tell you guys is they're luring people through the internet, through social media, through video gaming, through even in the schools. They have a girl they call a bottom girl that comes in there that works for the gangs, who probably herself had been trafficked, but now she's risen to a new level where she has to now bring in other girls. So you can see this is like a web. This is like a disease. And the reason that the Lord has told me to bring it forth is because the enemy works in darkness. Once it comes to the light, it can be exposed, and then we can understand how this game works, and then you can train and teach your children what to do and what to look for. One father literally had given his daughter a smartphone. Do you know Opal Singleton, who wrote the book I told you, Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers, said, when you give your child a smartphone, it literally is opening up your child to 3 to 5 million pedophiles. So there's apps on your child's app that can literally erase their history. So if you think, well, I just look in his history or her history. No, other kids can show you their phone, the kid's phone. Porn. Kids at 8 years old are becoming pornified. And what's happening is they're talking about like this rap stuff. You know, they're talking about all this stuff that's like hoes and this and that. And, you know, it's when they should just be playing. But so this is the deal, guys. Ashley, that night, got up on the roof. She shared her story. She told about how she was trafficked at 14. But then she shared about how she was almost killed. They had put guns to her head. I mean, she told me horrific stuff. I had 2 hours of an interview with her that we're going to take bits and pieces out of it. But she told me at 18, she met with a girlfriend who told her what was going on. And the girl cried. And she said, Ashley, I'm going to pray for you that Jesus is there to help you. And then she went to work that night, and she was in the strip club because she worked also stripping. And she was in the strip club and all of a sudden putting on her garters. And she looked in the mirror, and she saw Jesus looking at her. And he didn't look at her with shame. He didn't look at her with blame, but he saw her pain. And he said he broke a spell off of her. I'm telling you, she said, Meri, something broke off of me when he looked at me, and it wasn't like anger or shame or any of that. It was like love. And she was able to leave for just a week or two. And when she came back, the traffickers had been arrested by the FBI. And it was like God delivered her. And yes, she had some stuff to walk out. Well, let me tell you, today she's 32 years old, and she has her own bridal store, and she's engaged to be married. Because God can deliver and set captives free. So if you're watching or share this video, if you're watching and you've been one of these people that have been trafficked, or maybe you're a trafficker, let me tell you, God told me that I've not called men to be pimps, pirates, or pawns, but to be princes and kings. You're a victim too. You're not meant to be that way and to do this to these women. Somewhere down the road, you started believing. Maybe you believed your own lie. Maybe you were beat. Maybe you were abused. Maybe you saw your dad do that to your mother or to whoever knows. But let me tell you, God can set you free. So today, I just pray right now for those watching. And I thank you, Lord, that you're setting the captives free, that you're breaking people out of their addiction, out of their affliction, out of their pain, and that you're bringing them into a new place, God, called grace. And so, Lord, I just feel the Lord just right now, he's reaching right out through the screen, to the internet, wherever you're listening, watching. And God is saying, I have come to set the captives free. And Jesus said that, come unto me, all you that labor and heavy laden, I'm going to give you rest. Jesus said that I am the way, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father but through me. He says today, I'm giving you the key of free. So though your sins be as scarlet, they shall become white as snow. I see God saying, all you got to do is say, Jesus, come into my heart. Wash me in the blood. Fill me with your presence. And I see him doing that. I see you all of a sudden, you go, shoo. Jesus is just literally making you white as snow. And you'll be snow white, justified, just as if it never happened. So today, if you were touched by this program, some of you watching, I know there were some girls that were set free. We're starting to set up these Esther Company meetings all over Southern California and all over the world. We're going to start setting up freedom balls everywhere. And we're going to start saying, Cinderella's looking for your fellas. Well, some of them may be jealous. But God is saying now he's going to give them a new heart, a new mind. And he's going to make them very kind. So get ready, Cinderellas. The princes are getting ready to come. The frogs are being turned into princes because Jesus kissed them. And they're turning from frogs into princes because the Prince of Peace did release a new season. And he's saying, cease and desist to the enemy. You will no longer come against them. Now is the hour, now is the time that they will walk into the Spirit of the Lord and they will shine. So, you know, guys, literally, I felt like I went through a labor, a birth. I have more to tell you next week. I'm going to have pictures. I'm going to go into a lot more. But let me tell you, if you would like to donate today, you should see it on the screen. Adam put it up, Meri Crouley at yahoo.com. Meri is my email. MeriCrouley.com. It's spelled MeriCrouley. My sound man, Kip, lost $2,500 worth of equipment because it was under rain. They call it an act of God. You can't get it back. There's still a lot of different things that we're owing, but you know what? If you could sow a seed, whatever, $100, $50, $1,000, you know what? We still have to make the documentary. And we were trying to raise $100,000 that night, and we just broke even. But you know what? God reset the bar, and we're going to go far. Because if God be for us, who can be against us? Because God does adore us. He's going to fight for us. And we're going to see the greatest show on earth in history come into birth. For now is the season for the bride. Everything is going to open wide. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. Be lifted up, your everlasting doors. For the King of glory has come in. Thanks for watching. Now is the time. We are in a new season of history. We're in a new moment of time. Now you have to have the courage to let's pick it up, let's move it forward, let's mobilize, and let's globalize, and let's see the greatest show on earth come to birth. Now is the time. I'm Meri Crouley.